Hey, technical difficulties. Facebook never makes it easy, and I don't feel all that great. But today is Tuesday. What is today's date? The 23rd. Happy. I'll be adjusting and doing different things, so don't mind me. Get my scripture ready. This is off. Okay, using no notifications. Okay, I'm gonna get started, and as you guys pile in or what have you, let me know that you're here. If you have any questions, just put it in the chat. I'm really just feeling a kind of way today. I've been feeling like that for the last week or so. And here we go with the slow connection stuff. And the situation with Charlie Kirk is really power off. It has me feeling a kind of way. We don't wish death on anyone, but we do know that we all have to leave here. But I think I mentioned it in one of my earlier posts. I think this is session 8 right now. I'm in one of my earlier lives about one of my grandmommy's sayings. People lie on you when you're living, and they lie for you when you're dead. And honestly, I didn't know who Charlie Kirk was before all this stuff started flooding my timeline, or I'm on YouTube or different things like that, and I just keep seeing all of the posts and the rhetoric. So I went on so I can do my own research to see what's the deal with this Charlie Kirk guy. And I had like mixed feelings, right? Because certain outlets were like, oh, he was a Christian, he loved everybody, blah, 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 blah. But as I started doing research for myself, I realized that I just feel like I don't know which God he was serving. And so, because if you love people, we're supposed to just love mankind regardless of hey Reg, I miss you, babe. We're supposed to love mankind. We're not supposed to be judgy or and it's a difference between judging and stating clear facts, right? And so what I saw was a person who, and this is my opinion, was hiding under the veil of Christianity, but some of his statements and some of his beliefs aren't Christ-centered. So even when you think of so different people have their opinions about DEI, and as we know, it's been taken away. But to say, if I see a black pilot, I'm wondering, is he qualified? So I'm just like, what? Okay, let me hear him out. So the bottom line is, you're thinking that unless this is just corruption and how people, you feel like, and I feel like this is how the world is ran for real. People pick who they want. That's why you have nepotism and all that type of stuff. You have classism. You have a lot of that. But to say DEI has put in incompetent people all across the board, but you just keep saying African Americans or black or whatever the case may be, that rubs me the wrong way, right? And so if that's the case, you need to be worried about women, the LGBTQ situations, Spanish, like everything. So it doesn't mean just because you do diversity, equity, and inclusion that you're just giving people a pass to not be qualified, but you're just getting a job because you fall under these criteria. To say that slavery didn't exist, again, none of us were there, but we read the books, and you still can see some of that going on now. There is a hierarchy in certain places and areas. Nothing is infinite, so we can't say they always and we never, that kind of thing. But we have to be really real. And so being an African American woman, I really prefer just I'm a American woman and I'm brown. I don't even like the black. What is black? Black is my tires, black is my hat. But that's how they label us. Even with saying white, you know, people, they're not white. It's it's a lot. So I don't condone people saying, hey, this person, I'm glad he's dead. I mean, you have people celebrating and all that kind of thing. I don't think that's necessary, but I also don't think try to make this person a martyr because he has some really toxic views on a lot of things, right? And so we have to just continue to pray for guidance and understanding the word and how it represents earth as a whole. So I'm going to read 1 Corinthians 13, 4-7. It says, love is patient, love is kind. It does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud, it does not dishonor others, it is not self-seeking, it is not easily angered, it keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hope, always persevere. And that's what I'm saying. Even if you don't agree with certain things, again, we should not wish death on anyone, but we should not either be boasting that this man was a saint. He had some skewed views. So it also doesn't mean that, well, he made a comment in another short that I watched about everybody has the same 7 days and 24 hours in a day. You have an opportunity, so there's no reason to have anything to help you level up, which is not true either. There's always going to be a vast majority. Nobody's going to be the same. So you are going to have your unhoused, your people that live in poverty or below the poverty level. You're going to have your middle class, your middle upper class, and so on and so forth. And so it all depends on environment. It includes access. So if I grow up in an urban area and we don't have access to the same education or the same boys and girls clubs or whatever the case it may be to help us have that push, if we don't have a village, and it's not just all black people or African American people that are disenfranchised. There are poor people in every nationality. It doesn't really matter, but what matters is we're all supposed to work together and we're all supposed to be one, and you just help one another. But when you start putting out things that's really like it's white supremacy, then I do have a problem with that, especially saying, oh, I'm a Christian or I'm a preacher. Like that, those are just labels. And so it's just really, really unfortunate that things are the way they are. But if we look in the Bible, everything is kind of happening the way that the way that God said that it was. So humans are at odds. We have diseases and storms and all these other things going on. So like, I'm not going to dwell on Charlie Kirk too much, but I would say before making any type of judgment, go out and see exactly what is said from his mouth. Don't take little clips and stuff from other people. Go listen to it for yourself. That's what I did. And so I felt like if there is some good that he had in there, but when I look at the people who are responding, like they are on this mission now and some of this stuff can really become violent. And so unless you live in that, you won't know, right? If you've only been over in this corner, you don't know what's going on all around everywhere else. And, you know, these days, and the Bible said it would be that way, that everybody be claiming Lord, Lord, and I'm doing the work in the name of God and all that. But the true testimony is when your eyes close and you go to meet him. Is your name in the Lamb's book of life? Or is he going to say, depart from me, work of iniquity, I know you not? So let's not get caught up in the, I'm Christian, I'm Presbyterian, I'm Lutheran, I'm this, I'm that, or whatever. How are you really living your life, and how close are you living your life to following what the word says? And so that's what made me, like I said, just feel some kind of way, because I even had a conversation with some, and I have all friends from all types of backgrounds. And so even with the government shutdown, like, if you never worked in the government, if you don't live in the DMV, if you're just going off of what they say on the news, really just keep your opinion to yourself. To say that the government workers are lazy and they needed to cut this and they needed to cut that. Did it need to be revamped? Yes. Should thousands and thousands and thousands of people lose their job because one person or one group has another agenda? No. Even with Department of Education, I'm not looking at the news. I have friends and family members who work for Department of Education, and the way that they was dismissed from their jobs was egregious. You have people who worked in the government since they was 17, 18 years old through a work study program, and they worked somewhere 30 to 35 years or something of that sort. Then you're going to force them into retirement, or force them, if you don't take the VERA or what have you, and that's an early retirement. They gave them like this little stipend that was going to be taxed to death. And now I have to take penalties that I hadn't planned on. Where's the logic in that? Yes, should the Board of Education or the Department of Education be revamped? Yes, it should. But you shouldn't have gotten a letter on Monday to say you got until Wednesday, 11:59 p.m. to tell me what your decision is. You can't tell me that it's okay if somebody has, like I said, worked at a place for 30 years and they're 54, 55 years old or 56 years old, and you're making them retire. You're not waiving the penalty for having to get their money early. If you took the VERA, you're kind of like stuck between a rock and a hard place. They gave them $25,000. That was taxed. Again, if you're looking out for the people, they shouldn't have had to pay taxes on that, but they did, right? And so I see so many people scrambling. I know a few people who have committed suicide and all of that because they were just overwhelmed. They don't know what to do, how to start over. And some people just couldn't even keep their faith. So again, I'm talking to people who have no idea. All they do is watch CNN and whatever else and want to try to tell me what happened. No. And I don't care if you're private or if it's government, there's corruption everywhere. There's wrongdoing everywhere. But it's very asinine to make a blanket statement over something you really don't have any firsthand knowledge of or you haven't really seen. And so that kind of caused some rift between a couple of my Caucasian friends or whatever, because they're just thinking from their position. Unless you ever... I don't know what it's like to be white, Indian, Spanish, Chinese, nothing. I only know what it is to be a brown girl that's represented by the black community. So I know stares. I know when I walk into places and they look like, I'm like, okay, did you have the wrong spot? You don't belong here. No, I belong here because I belong here, right? And so I've dealt with racism. I've dealt with sexism, all of that. But I don't think that whatever nationality that person was, I don't think their whole race acts like that. And so we have to get out of this, one-stop shop for everything. And more importantly, just really study, understand what you're talking about before you engage in a conversation. Not just what you see on the 5 o'clock news, the 6 o'clock news, 10 o'clock news, whatever news you watch. Go in some of these areas to see what is really happening. Every election, we're going to do better by the children, the elderly, education, and infrastructures. No, 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 no. It doesn't happen that way. So I'm just really a little disturbed tonight or whatever, because like I said, I got a couple of phone calls and people are just like irate and they're just upset and like, what about me? And so that's when the faith piece comes in. We have to go back to God. So God said, who a door he's open, no man can close, and the ones he's closed, no man can open. You have to be living a life to be able to pray to God and just ask him to help you in your situation. You know what I'm saying? But everybody doesn't have that. Some people think they have faith until they put in a situation that all they can rely on is their faith. And so it's hard when you have kids in school, people have mortgages, they have all of that. And it's like, it's a group of people who are really just saying, oh, just get over it. Because it doesn't happen to Elon. It doesn't happen to the reigning president, you know? Like, I don't even like to say his name. And I always have to remember that God says you got to pray for your leaders, right? And so he is a leader. He can't do anything that God doesn't allow him to do, right? The devil needs permission to do things. And whoever is his minions, they can't do anything outside of what God allows. So I'm not going to blame it all on people doing, they are just blaming it all on them. No, because I've seen people where everybody around them has been riffed or fired or whatever the case may be, and they still have a job. So what's for you is for you. We just have to understand that part. But I really want people as a whole to really be very conscious of what you're saying. You're not just spreading propaganda. You're not just saying something that you heard or whatever. Go to the source. Only thing I could do was go and Google Charlie Kirk and see some of his speeches or his dialogue. And I went on to his podcast that he had, and like I said, he has some good stuff, but to me he teetered on the line of having really truly racist thoughts as far as I was concerned. And so I still pray for his family and his kids. He should not have been I don't think he should have been murdered that way. But in the same token, whatever our day is, that's what it is, and that's how it has to go. So I'm not going to debate with anybody back and forth. If you have an opinion, hey Janine, hey Kevin, hi Tia, I wasn't paying attention. I'm not going to debate about that, but I think we really do have to look at our race relationships, and we have to, especially if we're the banner of following Jesus Christ. That I'm going to leave Christian out of it. If we are followers of Jesus Christ, we really have to work in the confines of what he says, and that's love thy neighbor as yourself. You treat, you be nice even if another person is nice. How they say, if they hit you on one cheek, you give them the other. You get the gist of it. But we just can't go ham with our opinions, and you don't have facts or whatever. Like I say, it's hard for me to think about a few of the people that I know that have committed suicide because of the stress that they was under with their jobs, and the job was gone. And like I said, the people who took the VERAs, even if they was to get another government job, they would have to pay back the stipend that was given to them, or the buyout, whatever you want to call it, and whatever monies that they got for their retirement. That's crazy. You pushed me out. You said you didn't have anything that I could make a lateral move with, right? And so, and I thought about the families, and I'm like, we can't get so overwhelmed with things of this world. You know what I'm saying? You set your affections on things on high. This is just a temporary place, and I think that that needs to be reiterated. That needs to be encouraged. This is just temporary. This is our earthly life. Our main important life is our eternal life, right? And so nobody wants to lose everything. Nobody wants to start over at 58, 60, 65 years old. Nobody wants to have to get a second job because, there's not enough money for them to live off of with Social Security and things of that sort. And I can go right just down the rabbit hole. Like I hope a lot of people do a lot, and that's another reason why I gotta let my brain decompress. Someone's trying to get their benefits that they've paid into a system, and then you have people that are able to get money out of that system that are here illegally, and they get it with ease. Does that make sense? Is that is that a good government? Hey, cuz, how are you, Trina? Yeah, does that make sense? You don't pay a dime into the Social Security. You don't pay a dime into getting social services or whatever, but your kids can be taken care of. You can get insurance. You can do everything. No. But again, if we don't pay attention to who's running for offices, starting with our low levels from like your city councilman and all of them, and moving up to your representative and all that kind of stuff, then leading to presidency. Hey, Tia Boo. If we don't start from there, like the best thing to do, I look at a lot of movements, and what I notice is they do it in numbers. And I always talk about group economics, and it's just not for financial stuff, for getting houses and things of that sort. If you want to see change, you first have to be the change that you want to see, right? And then you need to get in the groove with other people and other like-minded people. You band together, and then we can get some stuff changed. When I worked for a law firm for years, we used to have to go, we had lobbyists. I'm doing fine, honey. I just had a procedure, not feeling all that great, but I just thank God that I'm alive. I miss you guys so much. So hopefully I'll be to North Carolina soon to make my dues. Tell Uncle Tom I said hi and I love him. But yeah, so we need to really band together in order to get things done. If we don't like the way that they're doing with the affirmative action or what they're doing by taking away DI, then again, it is a lot of businesses, or a lot of people. We have smarts, we have skills. Then you reach out and try to, do your best to help in that arena to help people. Like I did hair, I do finances, or whatever. I give information for free. I don't charge people to do that. I want to see people win. I want to see people on top, just like how I was, and even now. I may not have all of the material things, but I'm still rich in heart, right? But I still want people to be educated and concerned. And so I just see a lot of sadness, and sometimes it makes me sad because I'm just like, dang, what else can I do? So if you could just start today, ask who is your city council person, who is the mayor of your town, who's running the police department, who's sitting in a seat in Congress that you can write to. It's power in numbers. I remember my dad was working on his VA 100%, and again, it is racially divided. A certain class of people, they was given all the information, and they were getting their 100% early on, as soon as they got out the military. My dad had to fight for a long time, and it wasn't until we wrote Steny Hoyer, which was over my dad's the section where they lived at. We wrote the letter, gave all the denial stuff or whatever. Within, I'm gonna just give it 2 weeks. Within 2 weeks, my dad had a 6-figure check. Why? Because it's all the tape. It's all the tape. The red tape. My running joke is they deny until you die. And then people don't even understand that they have veterans that have a disability that was covered. They still can fight for it. I know, I miss y'all too. You still can fight for your deceased, if it's your spouse or whatever, or if they have kids or things like that. So they're not going to tell you that. They were at first 100%. You had to have 100% if you didn't, with the disability, if you didn't retire with a rank or something like that, you couldn't have access to the commissary. So then they moved it to as long as you had 100%, you can be there. But then they changed it to if you had 70% or more, you could. Now all you need is a rating. They're not going to tell you that. People get discouraged by the paperwork. They're also not going to tell you that they have it's between $10,000 and $40,000 of life insurance that they have available for veterans with certain ratings or whatever. And usually everything is 70% and above that they can have for their families. Again, it's all written somewhere, but they're not spewing all that type of stuff. So we have to do our research. We have to understand what it is and be able to help someone else. So I've helped countless number of people get the rating that they wanted. I learned what they were asking for. I saw the loopholes. I went to seminars. I did webinars online, because it's a lot of our African American people who served in the military who are either homeless or living in the poverty level or very, very sick, and they don't even really understand what is available to them. So it takes a village. It's not one. Each one teach one, reach one is how I see it. So I would encourage anyone, like you, Marvin, you're a retired Air Force. My grandson's trying to go in the Air Force now, and I told him to, before he made his decision, he needed to look at all the branches and Coast Guard and all that kind of stuff to see what they offered and what was it he was trying to get out of his time of serving our country. And he ultimately decided that he would do Air Force. And I asked him why. So he gave me his little bullet points of what made him go that route. And so I just say, it's not everybody wants to take care of their household, but we are all in one group. And if we look around, they're now, most of the builders are building what they call generational housing. It's just bigger housing than we had back in the day. Back in the day, it was nothing that the grandma, the daughters, the grandbabies, everybody lived in the same house or in the same plot of land or whatever. They ate together. They washed clothes together. Everybody pulled their resources together to make it through. And they were dealing with little or nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, when I think about my grandma saying that, a pound of fish was 5 cents and, a loaf of bread was 5 or 10 cents. And so, like, I remember some stuff. I do remember gas being as low as like 69 to like 99 cents. We wish we could have that now, right? And but again, they did what was necessary. One of my aunts who was like I love to death was my cousin Marvin's mom. She didn't have a lot, but she gave everything she had, and she had the biggest heart, and she fed many. It would make you think it was like is it 5 fish and whatever loaves of bread? I always get the numbers mixed up what God stretched all out for the 5,000 people. But that's what it was. You can call her and say you're on your way, or we're at the city limits. By the time we get to her house, she is full on fried chicken, macaroni, cheese, greens. She done baked the cake. She did everything and her house is always open. You didn't need to have a special invite. You didn't have to call first. If you stopped by Aunt Esther's house, you were going to get taken care of. And so that's the mentality that we need. And so again, with everything being high, interest rates being high, it's harder to get home ownership. It's something else, because I've done real estate for forever, being an investor, buying, flipping, things of that sort. And now, because of how they having it, they're trying to turn regular home buying into fractional ownership, just like a timeshare. So if you don't have the money to be able to get a $400,000 or $500,000 or $600,000 house on your own, they have programs set up, and they're ran by Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, Bill Gates, all the people with money. They're putting down a portion, and it's like you own it, but you don't really own it, because they know what they're doing. In low level areas, the houses were $100,000 or less. They're putting $400,000 price tags on them. You go and look at these new developments. They have townhouses in the Maryland area and in Savannah. Lunch me out, because I'm going, this is the country. What are they doing? But yeah, so the average person is making anywhere between $60,000 to $75,000 a year. How are you going to pay for a $400,000 to $500,000 house? And even if you get it, it's still a shack. For real. So no, we need to understand what's going on and what can we do, what we need to write, what we need to fight about as far as the interest rates and how things are going. But as long as we just talk to one another and talk around the water cooler and talk at church after the service, no, that's just unnecessary lip service. We need to figure out what it is. Our young people, my grandson is 19. He couldn't get an apartment if he wanted to. How's he going to pay $1,500 rent to stay in an undesirable neighborhood, making $15, $16 an hour? It's impossible. But because the people that have the ability to make change, we don't make the change. You right, Trina. She loved everybody, and that's why I thank you. Hi, Michael. I thank you, Trina, for sharing your dad with me. I need to call him to myself. I used to talk to him on a regular. I just got so much going on, but it doesn't matter. When I call, he's going to answer. When I come to North Carolina, he's going to make room for me and make sure I have some barbecue. And so I love Uncle Tom. And so yeah, people, so let's just think about what you're doing, or think about what's going on in your family. Think about the young people that's getting married, and people don't even want to get married anymore. The world has convoluted that whole thing. They've turned marriage into just a contract, and it's not the covenant that God said marriage is. And so it's crazy. They're out here single. I do know single women who are older, who live by themselves. They don't have kids, they don't have children, and they're being slaughtered by the tax system. How can you're penalized if you're not married, but if you look at certain things, for those of us who are married, we don't get that many breaks, but it's still enough to make a difference, and then we have to add on. So wherever you see challenges at, and wherever your heart kind of pushes you toward, be an advocate for that. I'm thinking about, I always use my hair salon was like twofold. I always said that I was the therapist and I was the stylist, right? So when you came in, you always felt better than when you leave. You always feel better than you came, right? So not only do you look good and you feel good about your hair, you also have gotten some knowledge, some help with whatever you might be going through. And even if I didn't know, I had clients that knew, and they can just talk together. So I just say, we got our young people having these babies. Daycare is out of control. I remember like $50 a week. I thought that was a lot. $250, $300 a week they're now charging. And again, if you're making under $50,000, how can you pay for daycare? How can you pay for rent or mortgage? Lord forbid how can you pay for a car insurance, all of that? It's almost impossible. So we have to, those who know, have to spread the knowledge, spread the wealth that way. Go back to, hey, if I'm not working or I'm not doing a certain thing, I can watch your baby. They don't have to go to some crazy center and pay that kind of money. And a lot of times your kids come home with hand, foot, and mouth disease, or they not eating, or somebody's touching them, so on and so forth. We have to get back into what family is, what God intended it to be. It's not about everybody building their own empire on their own space. It's for us to really get together, to band together, and really pull our resources as it relates to knowledge, money, family, all of that. Even I talk about my Aunt Esther is just like her son, which is my brother Marvin. He works in the cardiology department, and the level of care that he gave to my dad, and then even helped me. Like, I studied a lot of stuff about my dad's sickness, because congestive heart failure is not a game, and it has so many different variables. But because he was the type of person that he was, he had a whole team of people at the hospital that liked what he was doing, so they took care of the people that he brought, rather it's his aunt. My dad or his mom or whomever. Hey, Deshaun, baby. It was like, because he wanted the best for all of them. And you have to push that. That's the other thing. We don't know about really the sicknesses and things that we have. And we don't learn really how to combat them. Be it diabetes, congestive heart failure, high cholesterol, all of that. We need to learn how to eat better. How are you going to do that? You need somebody to share it. And all the time, you don't want to get it off of social media. We should be doing it together. So if you don't take anything else away from what I'm saying, just think about your life in its totality. Are you just saving all your little nuggets for you and your family, your little nuclear family, or are you trying to help the masses? Because the other part about this, our life is about service. It's not about the biggest house, cars, all this other kind of stuff. It's about, especially if you proclaim to be a follower of Jesus Christ, it is about us spreading the gospel and word and winning souls to Christ, right? And then when we work in unity, everything else, God said he'll take care of everything else. He'll give us the desires of our heart. All you got to do is do his work. And so for those who don't have that as their ideology or whatever, then it's still, again, each one teach one, reach one. But I don't want to hear that I don't know, because everything is written somewhere, and that's how they get you the rules. So like, for example, I just ran into a place where I have a storage in Georgia, because I'm trying to figure out exactly what I'm going to, be doing back and forth, and so on and so forth. So you signed the contract. I looked everything over, gave me the rate, blah, 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 blah. The first 3 months, it was fine. Then when we paid last month, then when they sent out the new invoice, it was $100 more. So I was like, okay, maybe this is a typo or error or something like that. So of course I called, and the lady was like, oh no, we go with the stock market, y'all know what I'm trying to say, stock market. When I do this is just some of the remnants from dealing with septic shock. Everything's jumbled in my brain. And I said the stock market and availability. And so if your place is, if you don't have your quota of units that you're renting, you mean to tell me the people that already signed contracts for the amount that you said, it can be raised at any time? She was like, yes. That was absurd to me. So then I had to dig in, and it's all that little teeny print down there. Yeah, all they need to give you is the invoice. They don't have to say, oh, in 60 days or in whatever it's going to go up. No. So I was like, okay, I got to make a decision. There's no need to keep paying for storage for things that you already have. So either, and give them away, sell them, whatever, because I don't want to pay $100. I didn't want to pay the price that they gave, but I don't want to pay $100 more. But again, that's how you get locked in a barrel, just trapped in the barrel. It's like, what is that? So everything we have to read and know. So if I'm talking to somebody else, I'm like, hey, don't go to extra storage unless you read all their stuff and then ask them these questions, that question, right? Because it was crazy to me. But I don't mind sharing that. But it could be somebody else that have it, they know it, but people don't want people in their business. No, I got that from my dad. Because how they say, a closed mouth don't get fed. If you don't ask questions, you're not going to get the answer. So it's like, whatever knowledge you have that could be of help or benefit to another person, do that. Like I think I mentioned last week, like I said, I've always made bracelets and stuff for years. Again, I sold them in my shop, but I normally just made them and gave them as gifts. But I've had people keep asking me about it. I had one of my ladies from church was like, Tanya, she's like, these are so nice, and you really need to charge more, and you need to do this. I said, okay, fine. I'm going to get back, because that's another way of God allowing my gift to make room for me. But my thing is, I've made many of these bracelets for people, and them just being happy about it is payment enough for me. Them just taking it as a treasured situation or moment or whatever, that's what means something to me. But hey, Teresa, welcome, babe. But I had to think about, I'm like, wow, because I had 2 or 3 people say that. So I was like, okay, T, get out your box, get out of your whatever, and pull out your beads and start doing what you do. But again, sometimes they're just a talking piece for me to be able, here's this gift. You know how they do. They send you $1, $2 in the mail, and then, whatever the organization is like, and can you be a regular donor? It's like they started it off by sending you $1 or $2, and then they want you to, in turn, give something back. My give something back is for somebody else to pay it forward. That's the way I was thinking about it. But I don't care if it's real estate, if it's life, love, marriage, even relationships. That's the other thing. It's like people try to keep so many things. Hey, cuz, welcome, Damon. Everybody try to keep everything so close to the breast, and they don't want to say anything. You'll be surprised how many people are suffering in silence, or think that they're the only person going through that particular thing. But you can't tell everybody everything, right? So that's what God gives you, that discernment and that knowledge. If you're in tune, you will know who to share with and how much to share. But I charge everyone that has a skill set, that has an ability to make a difference. Find your people, find your tribe that you can help. And so if you have any questions for me, I'm always, an open book. And now it's like I'm working on writing my book, which is multiple books or whatever. But I got people who already was in it. And they was like, see, you should have wrote this years ago. You should have done this. And I'm like, it was enough that you lived it. I wasn't thinking about it from that perspective. But the older I get and people tell me about different phases of my life and how it encouraged them to do a certain thing, or I stopped them from doing whatever, or I always was, I showed up because I'm a loyal person. And as I got older, I had to realize that, I was loyal to a fault. So when God say release somebody, you have to release them. But that's how I was raised. Everything was black and white. You say what you mean what you say. If you don't mean it, don't say it. This is like when people have death in their family or whatever, and people are just programmed to say, oh, I'm so sorry, my condolences, if you need anything, let me know. That's a whole lie right there. It's not anything, because you may not have anything that they're asking for. So they could say, hey, my husband was the breadwinner and I don't have, do you have, $3,000 to help me pay the mortgage and do whatever? You don't have that. Usually after the funeral anyway, people just start dissipating and you don't hear from them no more. But the whole time you're going through, the initial thought or the initial when it happened, and then preparing for the celebration of life and to burial. Then after that, the food stopped, the calls stopped, all of that. You always encouraged for me from the first time I said, yes, ma'am. If anybody has ever been to my salon, Xclusive by Design, or was with me when it was called Family Business and all of that, I always said if I couldn't treat my clients like family, I didn't want them. If you were a person that was messy and didn't want change, you wasn't allowed in my shop. Because it was a certain vibe that I set up there. It was a certain criteria that I required, because that's my space. I used to call doing hair my paid hobby. God gave me gifted hands, which also again made room for me. So my kids, it afforded us our lifestyle. But in the same token, hair was more than just hair. It was a ministry for me, because women go through a lot. Their moms, their wives, they work, they do whatever, and everybody don't have a supportive spouse. And I didn't allow kids in my salon unless they was being serviced. Because again, that's ladies' zen moment. Let that husband keep them kids for a couple of hours. Or get your hair done on your day off while they at school, whatever the case may be. But whatever it is people needed, even if it was just a listening ear, that's what I was there to do. And one thing I always did, I'm a person of integrity. So whatever you said in the shop, it stayed in the shop. I had whole families that came to me that didn't even know that they were all coming to the same place, because some of them had strained relationships and different things like that. And I've heard everybody's side of the story. And once they realized that, oh my gosh, you talking about the same Tanya? Oh, wow. And I'm like, wow. And then it gave them another layer of respect for me, because it's like, oh my gosh, she just listened to me and gave advice and whatever, and I still gave unbiased, advice. But that's what I like. I want to live my life in such a way that not only is God well pleased with me, that the people that He's allowed to come into my life are pleased with the relationship that they have with me. They can feel safe, around me. They can really truly, hey Terrace, they really can consider me a true friend, because that's what I am. And I always say, in order to have a friend, you have to show yourself friendly, and that's from the word as well. So as we sit and we go through this this roller coaster of life, because it's all written. If you open your Bible and read, I'm like, again, you don't have to look at nothing else. If you just read the Bible, that is every soap opera, every sitcom, any kind of show, movie you want to look at. You open up that Bible from Genesis to Revelations. You don't need Habu. You don't need nothing else. You really don't. But if you look at it, we're living in the last and evil days. I always explain it this way. It's been 2,000 years, I think, since Christ transitioned to sitting on the throne. It could be another 2,000 years, but our time is limited. We have more years behind us than we potentially have in front of us. And so we just got to be about our Father's business. And so, yes, with all the sicknesses and all the wars and all the everything that's going on, God is still going to protect his people, right? And then some of us are going to fall victim to certain things. But whatever happens to your earthly body has no bearing on your heavenly body, right? Because you're going to get a new body. You're going to be, every ailment and sickness, whatever you had, heartache, whatever, is no longer going to be there. But we have to live our life in such a way on earth to be able to get to our eternal life. And so if we can just all band together and help where you can, not help to like get some notches on your belt, or for whatever reason. If some people give for self-serving reasons. Some people help you to get far enough, but they don't want you to surpass them, right? That's not my thing. I don't want to be, I have different layers of friends and associates and everything that I keep in my circle, right? Because I don't want to be the smartest person in the group. I don't want to be the sharpest knife in the drawer. I also need, because the word says iron sharpens iron, right? So I need somebody that can, just sharpen me up, make me together. But if I'm the person with all the knowledge, all the money, all the resources, got the house for everybody to be in, where do I go to outside of God? And you have to ask yourself the same question. If you're just giving, doing, why are you doing it? Is it Christ-centered? And is it truly making a difference? Are you helping, or are you enabling? Or are you helping, again, because you have selfish reasons? Or, again, no, I'm not going to tell them that. Just like when people ask you, oh, I like your dress, or I like your hair wrap. Where did you get it from? Oh, I don't remember. Most people be lying. It don't matter. Child, I got this, my thing, this is a real hair back today, but sometimes I wrap my hair up with leggings, a t-shirt, whatever. You can't tell because I know how to wrap it up. And I would tell people that, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes I would even take it down and they were like, oh my gosh, that's so creative. But yes, what am I holding on the information for? When I first met my group that I be with in at my church, the Compassion Christian, the first day that I went to the group, the lady just told me they was having a service on Tuesday. It was a women's group that met on Tuesdays. Okay. But when I showed up, they was having a Christmas party and they was doing gifts and stuff. So I told the lady, I was like, oh my gosh, Miss Jane, I'll just come back. And she was like, no, you can stay. She said, you don't need a gift or whatever. But just me being me, I felt some kind of way. Well, I have this habit. I keep stuff in my car. I keep journals. I keep candles. I keep pens. I keep little bags, tissue paper, all of that. Because I never know when God's going to lay it on my heart that somebody really needs a pick-me-up today. So I told her, I'm going to go to my car and I'll be back. So she was like, don't lie to me. Are you coming back? And I'm like, I almost want to say, you want my license? I was like, I promise you. I said, I wouldn't lie to you. If I wasn't coming back, I just wouldn't come back. So anyway, I went to the car, I got my stuff, bundled it up, brought it back in, set it on the table. But by the time they got to the gift, they was like, hold up. And one of the ladies was like, no, you guys supposed to bring something from home. Because it's like, what do you call it? The white elephant or whatever that thing is. It's just simple gifts. But that's what I had. And so she was like, wow, I've never known nobody to do that. Yeah, because I go a lot of places and I'm like, hey beautiful, hey handsome, whatever the case may be. And then sometimes people, not sometimes, all the time, they always like taking it back and they be like, well, hey gorgeous, or how you doing? Or somebody say, how was your day? I don't just say good, I'm all right. I'm like, I'm amazing, I'm awesome. And then that sparks someone to a lot of times to say, well, what makes your day awesome or whatever? And then that's my segue to be able to tell them about Christ. And so, and that's what I've done for as long as I could remember, right? But that kind of really stuck out. And that's the thing, that a memory that me and the ladies will always have, because it was like, no, you can sit and, and if I didn't have anything, okay, but I had something, so I brought it. And it was a blessing to someone else. And so here we are 3, almost 4 years later, and we've just been making a lot of memories. And so I really just try to stand on the premise of my life is not my life. It's not all about me. My life is about service. My life has a purpose. Everybody's does. We all have a purpose. And when that time is completed, then that's done for you. So the takeaway for today is we won't judge books by their covers, but we will do investigations. Again, Charlie Kirk had a soul that had a destination wherever it is. When people leave, we don't know nothing. We assume where they're going or what they're doing. Only God knows the heart of man. We don't even know our own heart. The word says our hearts will deceive us, right? So only God knows our heart and our true intentions. And so it's just like, just help look at the things that's going on. Don't allow yourself to be overwhelmed with everything. Just know it's written. It's already written. It's going to be that way. Israel and all the people fighting, it's not going to, they never going to get it resolved. They going to have, the peace treaty going to be for 7 years. They only going to make it to like 3.5. It's going to be crazy. Read your Bible. So what you're charged to do, what is around you, spread the love of Christ. The people that's around you, that if they need help, help them. Even if they're not around you, find somewhere to go. Volunteer at a homeless shelter, go to a food pantry and help, give away food. Find the local places who do share and different things that take stuff to the elderly or the people who are confined to their homes. Go to the nursing homes and just talk to people. That I used to do hair at the nursing homes. It was so, they filled me up more than what I was doing. Some people didn't get any visits. Some people only got a visit once a month or something like that. And they're sitting in this facility by themselves. But they look forward to every Tuesday when we came there to do hair, do their nails. Do you know what that feels like? You can have on $1 million outfit and your hair is raggedy and you feel like nothing. You can have on a $10 outfit and your hair is done, you feel like $1 million. So it wasn't nothing somebody told me I should do or whatever. I just like, what else can I do? And it was for free. I didn't charge them or nothing because it was just me being of service, again, using my gifts to make room for me. So rather it's kids, if you have a heart for children, I didn't know until my grandbaby was born with some complications, and she was in the NICU and all of that at Children's Hospital. And they have, the separated rooms. So just say it was like 4 different babies in this big, gigantic room. And we would be there, like we went around the clock. My grandbaby was never by herself. Never. I didn't trust those people at all. So she was never by herself. And I would come at different times of the day. Sometimes I came multiple times. But what I noticed was some of these 2 babies, no one was coming. The nurses wasn't even doing anything. They was coming in, feeding them, and going away. So finally one day I said, well, hey, I said, y'all don't have like the, not the candy stripers. What is the little people that would come around and they used to come see the babies. They would read to the toddlers, doing whatever. They was like, they don't really have that program no more. And because we live in such a litigious society, everybody wants to sue for everything. So which makes it no longer personal, right? And so I really felt bad. So I would go over to the little babies and I would talk to them and I would pray over them in their little cases or what have you. And it made such a difference. They told me my grandbaby, they told us that she was brain dead. If she did live, she was going to be a vegetable, blah, blah, blah. And I remember telling the doctors, shut your mouth. Do not say those words and my grandbaby's name in the same sentence. You can tell us what your professional opinion is as we sit right here, but don't tell us what she's not going to be. And it was that positive attitude with everywhere. Me and my mom, like I said, we were up there praying. That little thing is running around. She's sassy, all of that. She still has like a little GI tube and all that kind of thing. But again, God is able. Them other babies, you never know how that really affected them. One of the babies did pass away during the time. Hey, Arnisha, I miss you. Girl, you see me doing my own nails, child. Anyway, so it was like, again, it was just a tugging on my heart. I didn't need no smoke and mirrors. I didn't need no news reporters to say whatever. No, that's what was laid on my heart, to say that those babies shouldn't have to lay there alone. The thing is, when you have a kid, it's like the skin time and all that kind of stuff. So just to think that they used to be inside this warm situation, and now they're in this plastic thing, and they got tubes everywhere, and nobody is touching them. Nobody is hugging them. Nobody is doing. They may just touch their little fingers or something. But she was in there for like 3 months, 4 months, something like that. And it really made a difference. And it even helped with the nurses. They was like, wow. Again, because I didn't just come to see my baby, my grandbaby. I was there for the other ones. Or sometimes there was some young people. Both of them had to work. And the mom was just beating herself up about not being able to spend enough time. And it was twins she had there. And I was like, don't beat yourself up. I said, but just keep praying. I asked what kind of job she had, and she worked for the local government. She like, I drive buses. I said, well, you work for Maryland school system. They have a pool. People can donate. So once you ask people to donate, leave. And in that way, she's like, you think people will really do it? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And she did that. And before we left, she was able to see her kids, and they had a little bit longer to go than my grandbaby. But yeah, and so I often wonder about her. We did exchange numbers or whatever, talked a little bit, but things just kind of fell off. But I said all that to say, again, she didn't know. I didn't know she didn't know. But that's just me in a gesture, being there, standing over the baby's in their little cribs, or whatever you want to call those. I forgot, it's another name for them, but anyway, just being there praying for them. And so that was a lot. But like I said, I didn't have to tell everybody. I didn't need any fanfare. It's just, when you know right, do right. When you see a need, if you can fulfill it, do it. Because God is going to bless you immensely. He's going to make sure that it's okay. Because the word says it's better to give than receive. And so, yeah, let's just not get caught up with TV. Is the bassinet okay? Well, yeah, it might be. It's something. I'm still thinking of something else, because the hose, and then you can put your hands and stuff in there. It's not really. It's like an incubator. I think that's an incubator. But either way, those babies were blessed for that. That family was blessed for information. And you would think that the nurses and doctors would say stuff, but they got so much stuff going on. They're not worried about all of that. But as human beings, let's just get back to being human. It is dangerous out here. You see people walking on the side of the road. You're like, oh Lord, I don't know if I should stop or not. But if you ask God, or if the Holy Spirit just moves you, He'll make provisions for you to be okay. You know what I'm saying? If you see somebody that looks lost, so like sometimes I'm in a grocery store, I don't have a lot at this juncture, but I'm still richly blessed. I've had people be in front of me short a little bit of money, or I have somebody pay it forward for me. I get up there and they say, oh, your meal is already paid for. So then I'm like, hey, what's the next meal? I'll pay for that. And I just go, I got a free meal. Yeah, I'm thoughtful about that. But if I have the money and God puts it on my heart, then that's what I'm going to do. So another Rosetta-ism. Again, if the whole world does wrong, you do right. So just think about what you can do to be a blessing to someone else. What can you do to even do things that would make your life feel better? Just ask God, what is my purpose? Where will you have me to be? And I guarantee you will get another type of peace that you just don't even understand. And you won't get consumed or sucked up by all of the propaganda and all the noise and everything that's around, because you have another person, because it's for God I live and for God I die. We got to leave here anyway. So hiding in the house, afraid to go to the store, like, use wisdom now. I'm saying for ladies, if you need gas, if you got a spouse or whatever, hopefully they put gas in your car so you don't have to worry about it. But if you're single, or you and your, the schedules don't even correspond, just don't go to the gas station at night. Go into one that's well lit, not dim. Try not to go in the areas where they have loitering and all that type of stuff. Because again, we always still have to use wisdom. But just find a way to be the amazing person that God has created you to be. Even if it's volunteering, like I said, for schools, you'll be surprised how many schools are short in teachers because they're overworked and underpaid, and volunteers are not like it used to be. So if you are blessed to have some free time and be off, just find a way to make somebody else's life better, and you'll be richly blessed from that. You don't do it to get a blessing. You do it because that's what God says. And then God's word doesn't return to him void. So he will in turn make sure that you're okay. So if anybody has any questions or anything, you can ask. Again, this was just laid on my heart to do every Tuesday and Thursday. And the segment we on is forgiveness. And so that's why I started out with the Charlie Kirk conversation, because I was like a torn away. But like I said, no one should lose their life just because of their opinion or whatever. And we also, if we spew our own rhetoric or hatred, we're no better than the person that does it. But try to understand where people are, or trying to find, you know what I'm saying? Try to find the good in what you see. If you don't, it's okay. And if you can't speak good about anyone, just not him. Even like I said, our head, I'm not fond of him, but he's a human being. He has a soul that needs to be saved, and he's running the country. And so we are charged to pray for our leaders, pray for our pastors, pray for our government, our hospitals, our everywhere. So I'm going to get off because I got to take my medicine, and I haven't done it, and my pain is kicking in. But I love you all. I'm glad you took the time to come and see me tonight. And Lord willing, Thursday, I'll be back again with interesting topics and conversation. If you feel like leaving something in my DM, that's what I've been getting, and people are asking questions, and then I speak. Hey, Mia, you made it. Asking me questions, and then I can speak on it on my next thing or during the week. And if y'all have anything that you want to talk about, let me know. Or if you have a story of a relationship that was mended, that y'all didn't see eye to eye, y'all wasn't speaking, or whatever the case may be, and you took the time to do what I asked to do a few weeks ago. Write out your list, your good and your bad. These are the people that I think owe me an apology, but oh man, I haven't talked to Sue, I haven't talked to so and so in a while. They might be upset with me. Yes, ma'am, I'll call soon. Okay. All right, babe. Just write that list to see if there's anybody that you need to apologize to, or if it's somebody that you feel like has done wrong to you and you've been holding it and you haven't let the person know. Even if you don't get the apology that you feel like you should get, at least do that part and then free yourself, because when you say a person's name and it can make you swell up or you roll your eyes or whatever, you still holding something. And so you got to be okay with that. So we have to forgive, and we have to let people know when they've done stuff to us. And then if we've done something, we need to ask for forgiveness. And that way you you clear it out. And then you don't let the situation or the people hold free rent in your head. I am amazed. I'm like, you're still mad 15 years later, 20 years later, blah, blah, blah. But it can be. It can be that, because nobody can tell you how bad it hurt. But I'm saying the reality of it is usually the person that hurt you is not thinking about what you're thinking about. They going on about their life, and you're having that bottled up inside. And so I can truly say I'm going down my list, and so far so good. I had one little thing. I don't know if that relationship can really be mended, but we was able to get everything out. And sometimes it's like that. It's reason season a lifetime. I have my god brother that I talk to almost every day, and I'm always sending him, like good stuff, encouraging things. And so it's about being silent. A lot of times we think that, hey, you do this, because I was the queen of that, I got rid of that, I'm gonna get you told. Like, you say something to me, I was gonna curse you out, and I'm gonna give you a piece of my mind. And then I had to come to the realization that I was the puppet. Proverbs says that, because if somebody can trigger me, they control me. No. Everything that happened, you don't have to say everything that you're thinking, right? And you have to realize that the same way that you find offense with something somebody else has done, people find offense with you as well. So if you feel that, then say that. So like I said, write your list. It may create a whole new beautiful situation, or it can just some people need closure. But just be okay with the apology that you may not receive. Long as you say it, let it go and be good. So I love you all, and I will see you on Thursday. Thank you for spending Exclusive by Design tea time with me. Have a good night.